From the world of AV programming and control with James King, I'm Steve Greenblatt, and this is Ask the Programmer. James, I'm glad to be back. I'm looking forward to our great discussion today. And how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Steve. And yes, I always look forward when we can get together and talk about programming.
Absolutely. We're today's one of those one-on-one conversations that James and I are going to have, but we also want to include our audience. So anything that we say, please comment on and please let us know what you think. We always enjoy having guests on, so if you'd like to be a guest, please let us know, and whether it's a topic related to today's discussion or one of your choice, we would really like to have you on. So let us know if you're out there and you're interested. So for today, James and I tend to share very openly that both of us are historically and our background has programming roles in them, and part of our education has programming. But in present day, neither of us have programming as our full-time focus. In fact, I don't think either of us have touched code in several years. So, what we wanted to talk a little bit about, because we both have programmers that either we interact with or on our team or we're responsible for. Um, how do you keep your technical skills up to date as a manager or as a leader or as a supervisor? Because you need to be able to relate to the people that you're working with. Plus, one of the things that I've heard, in my world, kind of as a business owner, is that you really need to be able to step in and do the job of the people that are reporting to you. So, um, it's an interesting conversation to have. And, James, I wanted to, see if you want to take a stab at it and let me know what your thoughts are.
So yeah, and I have gone back and forth on this, Steve. So thank you. Yeah, I like programming. I'll admit, when I can get behind an IDE and start writing line of code, I enjoy that, and that's what I do, on my free time when I can. But now I'm as a manager is I'm not doing that as much as I would like or as much as I maybe should. And there is that school of thought, oh, if you are a manager of programmers, you should know what they're doing. You should be able to step in. And I believe that to a T. But I always think about, I think it's Steve Jobs who said, why hire people and then tell them how to do their job? You hire people and they are supposed to do the job and tell you what they need. So as a manager, as a leader, maybe not having the programming skill if you're in charge of programmers is as important, but being able to relate to employees, understand their frustration, and have that trust that when they come to you and be them down the right path. Maybe you don't know how to do it, maybe you don't know how to solve it, but you can work together, find people, build that network. That's to me, I see as a more of a manager, less than, oh, you don't know how to code. Well, move your chair. Let me sit here and let me code it for you. As see Sinek always said, or Simon Sinek, sorry, always says is once you become a leader, you're no longer in charge of the work. And I might be butchering this. You're not in charge of the work. You're in charge of the folks who are in charge of the work.
Yeah. I agree with what you're saying for sure, and I may have had a misstep, in the fact that when I had to make a decision to run a company versus continue to be a programmer, I was at a crossroad, and I could have either hired somebody to run the company or to be in a managerial position, or I could have taken that responsibility. And at the time, it seemed like the choice that I had to make, even though it was scary because I had to really walk away from my livelihood and what got me to where I was, and I realized, and it's always been in the back of my mind that that I've kind of thrown away what I can do to make money. And but I have to realize that, there are other ways and other skills that I've developed and other things that I know now because I chose the path that I chose. But um, something that I've also come to learn is that you have to keep your head in it because you have to be relatable to the people that you're working with. And I think that there's a certain amount of respect that comes from that. But I don't know that you actually have to be able to do the work, even though I would like to say that I could. But from a conceptual standpoint, I like to keep my head in things, and I like to be able to understand and be able to at least ask questions and try to realize, if what we're doing is being done the best way possible, or how do we resolve issues? And those are the things that I feel I'm still pretty sharp on, but I don't necessarily have the ability to sit down and do anything that my team does, and I'll admit that, and it's something that I don't know if that's something that's a good thing or a bad thing, honestly, but it's the facts right now. Um, but it would be great to be able to find a happy um, meeting ground there to be able to say, take the trainings, be able to understand the things and be able to process through and have, checks and balances.
I definitely agree. And it's funny that we are talking about this today because I wasn't realizing we were going to be talking about this until, we got together and talked about what we want to talk about. But on my ride in today, I was thinking, and I been helping an employee with a project that they're working on, and I was like thinking back, and I know I've talked about this on one of our episodes where I remember when I wrote one of my first codes, AV code, and we deployed to the rooms and it's working and all that stuff. And years later, I revisit that code and I'm looking at it and go, how is this still working? 'Cause it was, bad. I struggle. I that way. And then if I sit down with my employee or even another programmer and be like, you got to do it this way, doesn't mean my way is actually right and doesn't mean their way is wrong. They may just need to build that muscle, like, do that. Hey, this still works. Why is this working? It shouldn't work like I did when I first started programming and, fine tune as I went. I think as a manager, especially as a manager, when you move from doing to supporting those who do, like you want to do things your way, and then you're understanding, well, I had to struggle. I had to find my path, my style. Doesn't mean like why don't we give that valuable lesson to our employees as well and let them find their way? Maybe they will find a way to do it better and more efficient than we were doing. And that's what we always hope for.
Yeah, I there's something that I struggle with too, or I think about often is that is what we do, something that you have to do regularly in order to be able to stay sharp and to be able to, because it evolves and changes, or can you learn it and put it away and then come back to it later? Um, and also there's a learning curve too. I know that I will never um, lose my knowledge of signal flow and AV systems and how things work, but right now there, most things are network based and AV over IP, and I'm not as familiar in depth with how those things work as well because I've moved away from, being in the field and being hands on with things. Um,
Yeah.
so I do like the idea too is that, the people that come behind you are likely going to do it better, and that's a good thing. And it's something to learn from. And the key would be to make sure that you have somebody that you can count on, that you can lean on to be able to be maybe your technical resource, that maybe you trust that they're going to be able to look out for your best interest, and maybe filter the information to you so you don't have to be the one that is so technically knowledgeable, and have that in-depth experience to be able to understand how things are being done and why they're being done, or be able to decipher information that you're receiving.
Yeah, and we talked about, kind of I guess the best way I can phrase it, we talked about the good employees who are, trying, they're building their skills. And then when you have those, the requirement on the manager, the supervisor, the leader to understand program may be a little less required. Now the flip side is I do feel us managers, leaders, supervisors need to understand so we can call BS if we have someone who's saying, "Oh, it's this way." No, it's not. Like,
Mhm.
or, like, especially in my role where, yeah, I'm not programming and I don't have a programmer currently on staff. So we rely heavily on our partners. And if, say, my partner programmer is saying one thing, I'll be like, having that knowledge to be like, no, that is not the way to do or not the best way. Now, granted, the partner I work with right now, programmer, is great. I work very well with them. But it's just like being able to call that, no, that's not right. That's BS. Um, let's move it this way. Because if you're don't know as a manager and someone comes to you and be like, yeah, you got to have all this, and it's going to cost you all this. You just sit there and go, okay. But if you know what to do and be like, no, you're telling me it's going to take you 10 hours to program this, really should only take you an hour.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you tell people when you are working with them, hey, I've been in your shoes before. I understand what it takes to do these things, and I've programmed, or do you keep that in your pocket late until you have to pull that out?
I'm a pretty open book. I don't mind telling people right away, hey, I used to do this, I used to do that. I don't know if it swings it any way, like anyone takes weight. I do know I can leverage that if I have to get a little stern with people,
Hmm.
which I have done in the past, not on the program side, but other aspects where I was able to call their BS. And
Yeah.
they're like, nope, that's not right. I know what I'm talking about type deal. Um, but yeah, it's just, I think I'm an open book. So I tell people, and then again, you Google me, you're going to find all this information if you try hard enough.
Good tie-in. Well, th this is a good conversation, and I think an important one, and I'm curious to hear what those in our listening audience think, whether you're in a managerial position or you're in a programming role. What do you think is useful? Because I'm sure programmers want people that are supervising or managing them to be able to understand what they do, and talk the talk, and be able to be relatable. And then I'm curious to hear, how to what degree does that um, have to be from a technical standpoint? And successful managers, please let us know as well, because we'd like to get some more tips, and get some more insight from you. Um, James, how can people get in touch with you, as you already said, and continue this conversation, and keep things moving forward?
You can always Google me, like I mentioned. I'm out there. I'm on the social AV_James King. Out in the program community on LinkedIn. like I said, Google me, you'll find me.
Excellent. And for me, you can reach me at Steve Greenblatt on social platforms. LinkedIn is where we're most active and been fairly active recently. So please, connect with me there, and like to hear from more of the people that are out there in our listening audience. And as James said, if you want to get more insight and you want to meet more people that are interested in programming, please join our Ask the Programmer community on LinkedIn. It's an open group, and you can just hop right in there. And we're trying to keep more conversations going and try to create more interaction amongst those out there in the programming community. My company, Control Concepts, we help programmers get their jobs done a lot easier uh, and more successfully. And the way we do that is we provide some of the building blocks that you need to either integrate products or add functionality to your systems. And you could find more about that at controlconcepts.net. If you are listening to this podcast on audio, you can also watch us on YouTube. And if you're a YouTube viewer, you can listen to us on the go on your favorite podcast player. Either way, we'd like to hear from you. Leave us a rating, review, share your favorite episode. Be sure to subscribe. And we really want to keep the conversation going and keep serving this audience in this community. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, this has been Ask the Programmer.